Howdy. Here to talk about Leaves of Grass. Thought it was really good. I'm going to give it an 8. Thought it was real original, fun, passionate, wise. Really enjoyed it. It came out in theaters to a limited release. Here in Los Angeles, it came out to a couple, maybe 3 screens. Didn't get a chance to see it. Wanted to see it, but just couldn't get to it. So I was very excited to see it come out on video. Primarily what got me to pick up the box was one of my favorite actors, Edward Norton, is in the film, pretty much in every scene. And then I pick up to read the back of the box, and right at the top is 4 stars, one of the year's best, a masterpiece. Edward Norton is flawless. Roger Ebert. And when I read that, I was like, wow, well, this erases all doubt. I must see what Roger Ebert calls a masterpiece. And is it a masterpiece? I don't know, that's a strong word. But who am I to argue with Roger Ebert? Again, I'm giving it an 8. I thought it was really good. It's about twin brothers. One is on the top of the world, the other not so much. And the one who is not so much doesn't really call on his brother, tricks his brother into helping him out of a sticky situation. That's, in a nutshell, what the film is about. Great cast in this movie. This is an actor's movie. Probably because it was written and directed by an actor, Tim Blake Nelson, who has been around for a while. He's been in tons of stuff, like so much stuff you have a tough time recalling all of the work he's done. Like, I guess most notably I can remember him from the Incredible Hulk. He, I guess, will end up playing a bad guy in the next one. But he's been around forever. He was very good in The Good Girl, the Jennifer Aniston movie. Anyway, so he wrote and directed this. I'm not sure of his resume in terms of writing and directing. This might be his first film, I'm not sure. It's the first I am aware of. But he's a talented director, knows how to let a story unfold. He is a very clever writer. I would maybe call him a better writer than a director, and he's a very good actor. I mean, he, might be better at acting than either of the other two. But his writing is, a standout in this film. Anyway, it's an actor's movie. And it is filled with excellent actors, as in Edward Norton, Kerry Russell, Tim Blake Nelson, Richard Dreyfuss, and Susan Sarandon. All of whom do a great job. Also, I'd like to point out that this is the first time in a while that I have seen Pruitt Taylor Vince. Pruitt Taylor Vince is an excellent actor. I haven't seen him work in a while. He made a movie that was very important to me, I guess about, in the late 90s sometime, maybe 96, Heavy. He made the movie Heavy. I thought that was a really good movie. I watched that a lot for about 2 years. Really spoke to me. Anyway, I hadn't seen Pruitt Taylor Vince in a while, and here he is. Good to see him. And he gained a lot of weight. He's looking really big, but he's still really good. He doesn't have a ton to do here, but again, it's just good to see him. So I enjoyed that. Richard Dreyfuss, he's been making cameo appearances in films lately, and I couldn't be happier. I love Richard Dreyfuss, so it's good to see him here. He's really chewing the scenery here, which I enjoy as an actor. I like to watch actors cut loose a little bit, take risk, and Richard Dreyfuss does that very well. Edward Norton. Edward Norton is an inspiration. I think he should be studied. He's one of the greatest actors of his generation. So I think it's important to see this just for his work. He presents two different characters. He plays twins here, so I guess in a way that's kind of a gimmick, but I mean, he nails it. Because, again, he's one of the best. The reason I'm not giving it a higher score is because I thought, like, some of the times I thought that maybe they had to, and obviously this is an independent film, budget's not huge, so I'm trying to keep that in mind and not, you know, let it get to me. But I can tell that, like, some of the times that maybe they had to shoot only one take, or possibly shoot the rehearsal, and then due to time, budgetary constraints, just had to use that. So, like, there's maybe a tiny mistake here or there that if they had taken another shot at it, they probably would have gotten it better or fixed it. I thought some of the makeup took me out of the film a little bit. They you know, have to do there are some violent things that happen, and there are leftover scars, and basically there are special effects makeup going on here that, again, had they had more money, would have looked much better. But in a way, while I was watching it, it stood out, and perhaps because it was Blu-ray and so beautifully sharp, it looked like makeup, and it just broke the illusion for me a little bit. Again, that's why it's not a 10. But again, an 8 I think is an excellent score. Very quotable. I thought this was very wise. Again, cleverly written. It kind of lumbers around at the end. I felt it could have been more concise and focused at the end, but still was happy. Again, quotable, very quotable, funny, laughed several times heartily. A very quotable movie. I think Tim Blake Nelson watches a lot of Coen brothers, especially when making a film. I have a feeling that he watched, while making this, a lot of Coen brothers. Because it's just got that quirkiness to it. So, I think that's pretty much it. Again, I would definitely recommend this, especially if you're a fan of Edward Norton, or just a fan of good movies. I really enjoyed it. And you get to see a lot of good actors just really go. Oh, Steve Earle. Steve Earle, the musician, is also in this. Steve Earle has been popping up too in several films, and I think that's interesting. He's Steve Earle, so I mean, I guess he's acting. It never really seems like he's acting, though. It just seems like he's Steve Earle. But it's cool. And I'm glad I mentioned that because the soundtrack is awesome. I mean, I almost kind of want to buy the soundtrack, or at least research the soundtrack and see who all is on it. Thought and not necessarily the original score, but the source material, like listening to the radio and whatever, the jukebox, the soundtrack is excellent. In fact, I kind of almost found it distracting because I wanted to hear more of this song, and then the next scene starts, and I'm like, oh, I wanted to hear that song. Or it was a song I never heard of, but started to listen to and was impressed. So, great soundtrack. Really good movie. Really good movie. Leaves of Grass, it's an 8. Please to check it out. Thanks.